Yo, finally to the teardown day. Engine is basically done. My cams, my valve spring compressor from Amazon is junk, so I had to stop on that. I got this cheap one from Amazon, gave it a shot. Don't waste your money. Without pulling it out of the bag, try to show you that bolt right there. As soon as tension started pushing down on the spring, it just stripped. But yeah, so I ordered another one from, I don't remember. I'll have to show you when it comes in this week. But it was like 65 bucks or something like that. It's basically that same version, just uses all grade 8 bolts, so you don't have to deal with that BS. But I'm already started on this. I'm just gonna go through like a little steps, I guess you would say, to just pulling the stuff out. Once again, this is for people that are new to this, or somebody just is looking to do this, even if it's not an LS. If you're not new to this and you've done this a million times, watch if you want to. Correct me some things. I'm always looking to learn stuff. I definitely don't know it all, but we'll start with under the truck. Also, what I'm already liking about this truck is it's basically, so it's a 93. So a 93, they went to 4L60 from the 700R4. This is just the old version of the 4L60. But it has the same connector for the other side of the transmission, just like your LS. It has, that's your, for your speedometer. I think that might also be for your speed sensor for overdrive and lockup, whatnot. Let me get under here somewhere. I always like to keep 350. Well, this came off of a drive shaft that was behind a 350, but 350, 700R4, 4L60 are all the same spline, which is 26 or 27, I believe. But yeah, there's that connector. It's not gonna focus, but that's where that goes. Obviously, I'm gonna have to replace that if you ever use it again, because all the pins came out. But this is a 4L. This is like the first generation 4L60. Technically, if you wanted to, you could run this to the LS, but I would get a little bit later one because you need the VSS, because you technically your LS harness will plug in to this 4L60 the same way. Anyways, so we start with pulling the drive shaft out, obviously. Make sure you chalk your wheels. Or not, YOLO. Well, also what I like is that this 93 and up, they're basically already LS swapped without having the LS. So you got this inline filter, and then you got these hard lines, which I plan on reusing everything along with this filter. I showed you that filter in the other video, the Corvette fuel filter regulator. I don't think I'm going to use that now. I'm going to talk the guy out of it because he just wanted that filter as a filter. He doesn't care about the regulator part, since the pump that's going in is already regulated. So we'll just get a new one of these and we'll run all the same factory line all the way up to the back of the engine, which you'll see in a minute. This is your factory shift linkage, and as long as the transmission goes back in the same spot, this should bolt right back up to the same spot, to where you don't have to mess with any of this and you use your factory shifter. But if it goes an inch forward or an inch back or an inch forward, it might get a little tricky, but I feel like it has enough play in it to where you could go either way, at least an inch. I don't think that'd be an issue, but we'll see. Thankfully, Thankfully, those weren't completely rusted out. Those were easy to get out. It also has factory O2 sensors, if you can see that O2 sense right there. Oh, but that's completely loose. But yeah, that's it for underneath. I wish this had a drain. I wish the oil pan had a drain plug, but I like to color the rainbow on my driveway. So, but next we'll come in here, get these manifolds out of the way, see how many bolts break, which it doesn't matter to me because somebody else can get the engine once it's pulled out. So if you looked at my C10 video, since that 87, 86, 85 C10 I did, since that power steering line from the factory LS worked, it'll definitely work in this. So that should just screw right in. I'm hoping I can keep the engine in the same spot because I would love to have all this room back here rather than it pressed up against the firewall like the S10 and the C10 I did. But I like to do everything underneath first so that I can get up here and I can do all the let all the coolant just, recycle it. Yeah, recycle your coolant. And then that way you ain't got to lay in it underneath. But my luck, something will come up and I'll have to lay in it underneath. But man, it's pretty straightforward. I'm excited in hopes that this one goes much smoother than the C10. The C10 should have went smooth, but I don't know why I did it. The S10 before that, don't even get me started on that. I'll probably make another video on that S10 and really show everything, just specifically just that S10, since I mixed it in with that OBS that I tinkered with the wiring, cleaning it up. So do its own S10 video, because I'm sure people would enjoy knowing the headaches that are to come with that before they do it. But that's basically it. You'll see me pop up in a split second, be a video from later date when I pull the rest of this, which probably ain't gonna happen. It's 106 right now in Texas, which it's not too bad, but it's hot with the humidity. So probably tomorrow I'll probably have this pulled out, but you'll see me back in a split second showing everything. I'll clean up the engine bay. I may not paint the frame. I'm not sure. I don't even know if I got any paint left. Yeah, so just wanted to show y'all the kind of like beginning steps for the new guys. If you're not new and you're sitting there laughing at me, I don't care. Hope these videos help the people that are really needing it. And then y'all get to see me do all the hard stuff so that when you go to do it, you know the easier ways to do it and the cheaper parts to use. So yeah, that fuel filter, let me show you again in case you didn't see the last video. And I like to go over the parts because everybody probably won't watch every single video and probably won't see the earlier videos where I show parts. So if you do, appreciate it. You'll just keep seeing parts over and over again. So let me find that fuel pump. Actually, I'm not gonna dig through all my stuff or all those boxes. I know where one's at right here. This is like the fuel pump that he got. It's a Corvette fuel filter regulator. This is the cheapest route to do fuel system, is this Corvette filter regulator. You can get it on Amazon, and there's like a million different versions of that now. And this Walbro pump, which I got off of Amazon. You can just hook that up, and that's your fuel system. You just run fuel line. You guys obviously know I suggest the fuel line where you just throw on these barb fittings. If you go back to the previous videos, you see it. Transmission also. But yeah, the guy he was wanting to use, he brought me his own. This isn't it. This is the one I had on the Cuda. See, even trash knows the Cuda's trash. But yeah, this is a filter in regulator, 58 psi. Since I showed you that already has that filter, I'm gonna let him know, and that'll be one extra part he gets to send back and get some money back for. And now you know. All right, I'll see y'all in a split second. Later. All right, I'm back. It's actually been 3 days, 4 days since the last video I made, but a split second for y'all. So obviously got the old engine out. Now these older engines, but the mid 90s, to an extent, they're basically already set up for, the trucks are already set up for LS engines and transmissions. As I showed y'all, that this transmission is a 4L60. It's just a later version, but it still has the plugs. It has a very different speed sensor plug though. So that obviously controls the speedometer, which the new transmission and harness isn't going to control the speedometer in the truck. I got the frame cleaned up and painted. I also, when I pulled plugs off of the old engine, I marked them so that I know it's oil pressure. It's not focusing. So I know which ones I can snip from the old engine, which I did to an extent already before I pulled the engine. But that way, because a pink wire like this, usually a pink wire like that in the harness, means that's a wire you can get 12 volts to when the key is on, so that you don't have to run multiple wires to just, like, say the starter wire or something, or some wire along the lines of power to the starter, like the alternators. I don't think I've showed you guys the way I do the alternators, the charging system. You take the plug from the swap harness, you find a 12 volt key source, which should be this, something like this, pink, maybe even purple, but most of the time pink. And you snip into that, and when you turn the key and turn power on, that turns the alternator on, saying okay, temp charge and whatnot. And then you just have your single wire running from the back of the alternator to the battery, which I should be able to just hook up the factory alternator wire back to the back of the alternator. But anyways, let me show you some things I kind of looked at. So this is the factory oil pressure sensor off this engine. Obviously it's focus any day now. Okay, I guess we're not gonna focus. Let me see. It's a little better. Not gonna focus. There we go. It's not as wide as the LS oil pressure sensor. Should be able to get an adapter, kind of like, so this is the water temp sensor. This is an adapter from ICT to where you can screw it in to the factory port and run the sensor for the gauge on the dash for the factory harness on the truck. But you can't put it where the factory LS water temp sensor goes, because you need that sensor to plug into the aftermarket harness. So you have to come back here to this side of the head and pull that out, and it's basically that hole just on that side of the head. and that's where this will go. Actually, I can show you on the CUDA, because I did it before I did my Wi-Fi, my Bluetooth setup for gauges. And just like that right there, it's just a mechanical gauge and the ICT adapter for the water temp sensor. That's a mechanical gauge sensor though, so obviously that end is a lot smaller than this one. This one's for the factory style sensor. And also what I kind of figured out / learned, or what I was told to an extent. So I pulled the oil pressure sensor off of the old engine and the water temp sensor. And this is the LS water temp sensor. Obviously he needs a new one because it's broke. But I was told that you can run the factory harness water temp sensor plug to the LS water temp sensor plug. I haven't tried it yet, that's just what I've been told. But oil pressure sensor, did I get I don't think I got the right one. This is my junk box, and I came across, I was just kind of looking around, I came across, see there's another oil pressure sensor I have. Most of the time, you just have to put mechanical oil pressure sensors on the LS engines. But I came across one yesterday, or the other day, where the plug on the LS swap, or the plug on the LS sensor was the same connection as the truck's harness for the old oil pressure sensor. But I'm not sure. I don't want to spend too much of this video, you just watching me go through all this. But anyways, I had a sensor. See that? How that's set up? Now, I had an oil pressure sensor. Where did I put it? Because I really want to show you that the sensor, the LS sensor, plugged right in to that factory harness. Watch, after this video, it's gonna pop up right in my face somewhere. I want to show you, because I don't want to just talk about it, but I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. And then whenever I find it in the next video. But anyways, it was a sensor, an LS sensor. It had to have been the early, like a 2000. It could have been a 99, 2000 LS oil pressure sensor, because it wasn't too long after this sensor, so they may have kept the same style plug, because it plugged right into that factory harness, or that factory plug right there, and that should work on the gauge if it plugs in, because why wouldn't it? And then I'm gonna look at the water temp sensor and do the same. Oh, that's AC. But most likely I'll have to cut these wires. Where was I? Were you looking at this whole time I was watching? Let me know. I might have to cut these wires, because this lays all the way over here, and that water temp sensor is gonna be on this back corner. So we'll have to make those wires longer so we can run all the way back. But let me show you what I run for cheap digital gauges. And I learned about this not too long ago I'd say right before I started daily driving the CUDA, so 4-5 months ago. You go to Amazon, you buy this. It plugs directly into your OBD port. It's just a scanner, but it sends Bluetooth, via Bluetooth. It sends what's going on in there, through there, from here to I mean, you can use your phone. I used my phone at first, but then I got a cheap tablet off of Amazon for 75 bucks, and I set it up right there. If y'all can wait 2 seconds, make sure the CUDA doesn't go anywhere. I'm gonna go grab it real quick. Awesome, still here, appreciate it. But this is my gauge setup, and I got a phone holder from Walmart, and it just sits up in the dash, and I can see obviously vehicle speed, RPM, trans fluid, because I already have these gauges, which I set up from the beginning before I had this, but it just sits up in there like this, and that's my gauges. Issue though, I don't like the vehicle speed. I don't think this tablet is good enough. I think it's too cheap. The vehicle speed is way off. It's like 5 to 10 miles an hour. But also, if your computer isn't tuned for your tire size, if it's not tuned for the tire size, and the speed's obviously going to be off. So my speedometer, the speedo on that is like 5 to 8 miles an hour off, which I figured out by now. So I just look at it as like, oh, I'm going 5 miles faster than what it says. The RPMs, I'm pretty sure those are accurate. The water temp is 100% accurate. The trans temp is obviously accurate, because all those read strictly out of the computer, so there's no way they can't be accurate. The volts though is a little off, so driving it'll show like 13 volts, but I know for a fact at just idling it's like 13.5 when I check it with the voltmeter at the battery. But as long as it's showing above 12 volts on the tablet, then I know everything's working as it should. But yeah, this is $36 on Amazon. What is up with my phone today? Come on. There we go. $36 on Amazon. $70 on Amazon. And then there is an app. Go to your app store, and it's called OBD Fusion, and you have to download that app. And then the box that this comes with, it gives you the instructions on how to set it all up. And then the cool thing about having it on the tablet is you can mount that in the dash or do whatever, rather than spending thousands of dollars on Dakota digital gauges. But if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Obviously, why would I do that? CUDA made it in Hot Rod magazine. I don't know either. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know why, but we're pissing off Mopar peers one by one, and Chevy and Ford, and everybody's getting mad about it. So cool, awesome. Eat your heart out. Anyways, So the next video is going to be, most likely this will be 90%, 95% done. I'm not going to string this out into 5 different videos. Next, I need to pull the fuel tank. I took all the gas out of it. I need to drop the fuel tank and do the fuel pump and the wiring, the wiring system, the fuel system. These are the factory fuel lines, which on that red OBS I had a couple videos back, he was using these stock fuel lines. Obviously one is in and one is return. Well, these LS intakes 03 and up, well 03 or 04 and up, they're returnless. So obviously you won't use the return line. I would probably just cap it. That's probably what I'm gonna do so that you don't get the fume smell. But I wouldn't cut it out or get rid of it unless you know for sure you're only gonna run the single feed the rest of the time you have the vehicle. But I'm just gonna leave the return line the way it is and just hook up the fuel line. I haven't checked though to see if the AN fitting ends will screw on to the factory end on that fuel line, but we'll find out. Yeah, this is it for video number 2. Next video, hopefully you should see the truck, hopefully running at least. Like I said, it'll show most of the truck being done. Yeah, I'll see y'all next video. Hope these help.